Total chaos just erupted in Chicago. A shocking move by the Bears organization may completely change our 2025 season, shaking the city at this very moment. But that's nothing compared to the bombshell about to drop on our starting quarterback and the controversial decision Ben Johnson just made with 2 key defenders. And when you think you've seen it all, wait until you discover what really happened behind the scenes during our epic victory against the Chiefs. A revelation that could define the entire future of this franchise. Bears fans, I'm literally shaking as I write this script. What happened in the last 72 hours at Hallis Hall changed everything we knew about this season. We're talking about decisions that could lead us to the playoffs or doom us to another mediocre season. 3 explosive pieces of news every Bears fan needs to know right now, because what's happening in Chicago goes beyond anything you could imagine. Stay tuned until the end, because the last piece of news will leave you in total shock, and I guarantee after hearing what Ben Johnson said about these 2 defenders, you'll never look at our roster the same way again. Get ready for 20 minutes of pure Bears adrenaline. Listen closely to what I'm about to say. After years of watching this team break our hearts, we finally have to face the reality about Caleb Williams and his preseason. I believe many of you are wondering, did our quarterback of the future do enough to give us hope? I'll tell you, his performance was a mix of brilliance and concern that I cannot ignore. Let's get to the raw numbers, Bears fans. Williams completed 17 of 25 passes for 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions in the preseason. A completion rate of 68%, below the 70% target set by Ben Johnson, yet still respectable. More importantly, 0 interceptions. For a quarterback who played only 1 year in the NFL, this shows mental growth. But here's what the numbers don't show, and this is where it gets interesting. Against Buffalo in the first week, Williams was practically perfect. Precise timing, excellent anticipation, releasing the ball at the right moment. But folks, it was against Buffalo's backups. When the starters left the field, our quarterback looked like Joe Montana. This is good for confidence, but tells us little about how he'll fare against real defenses. Then came the real test. Kansas City Chiefs. The same defense that stopped Josh Allen in the playoffs made Tom Brady sweat and went to 3 consecutive Super Bowls. And here, my friends, we saw the real Caleb Williams. Not the highlight reel, but the quarterback still learning. It ain't the first drive against the Chiefs. Williams held the ball for an average of 4.2 seconds, nearly 2 seconds longer than ideal in the NFL. He was seeing ghosts that weren't there stepping out of the pocket despite having clean protection. Exactly the same issues we saw last season. It's like nothing changed since December. But here's what impressed me, his recovery. Second quarter, Williams led an 8-play, 75-yard drive, culminating with a touchdown to Cole Kmet with 47 seconds on the clock. That pass was perfect. Anticipation, precision, timing. It showed that when the lights come on, he can elevate his game. Ben Johnson set clear goals for Williams. 70% completion, less than 1.5 seconds in the pocket, quicker decisions. And you know what I saw in the preseason? A quarterback trying to adapt to these demands. Not perfect, but trying. Johnson implemented a simpler progression system, more direct timing routes. Williams was clearly forcing these new mechanics, sometimes appearing robotic. But I prefer a robotic quarterback learning over a natural quarterback repeating the same mistakes. The pass to Cole Kmet I mentioned, 3-receiver progression. Williams went straight to the second in the sequence. Exactly as Johnson designed. Last season, he would have held the ball, tried to create something magical, and likely taken a sack. You want to know what really excited me? The small details. Williams is putting more velocity on the ball, 58 mph average speed in the preseason, compared to 54 mph last season. That means quicker decisions, better timing. His footwork also significantly improved. I counted only 2 instances where he did that happy feet dance we constantly saw in 2024. When protection broke down, he was stepping up in the pocket instead of running to the sides. Real progression, folks. But there's one thing that still worries me, blitz reads. Against the Chiefs, they sent a 5-man blitz 3 times. Williams identified only one of them pre-snap. That's concerning because NFC North defenses thrive on blitz. Green Bay, Minnesota, Detroit. If he doesn't improve this, we're going to struggle, though. Ben Johnson was clear after the last game. Caleb knows this season is crucial for him. Crucial? How? I interpret that as prove you're the franchise quarterback, or we start looking at other options. The organization invested everything in Williams. First overall pick, over $50 million in guaranteed rookie contract, the entire offensive system redesigned for him. If there's no significant progress in 2025, patience will run out fast. But I tell you, I saw flashes in the preseason that give me hope. Not blind fan hope, but hope based on evidence. When Williams is comfortable, when the game slows down for him, he shows arm talent few quarterbacks in the league possess. Let's put it in perspective. Josh Allen in his second year had 20 touchdowns and 9 interceptions. Lamar Jackson had serious accuracy problems. Even Peyton Manning threw 28 interceptions in his rookie year. Williams already showed he can protect the ball. 0 interceptions in the preseason is no coincidence. Quarterback. Development isn't linear. Some weeks they look like future Hall of Famers, others they seem unable to complete a 5-yard pass. Williams is on that roller coaster, but the overall trend is positive. I give him a B- for his preseason. It wasn't spectacular, but showed progression in key areas. Most importantly, it showed he can learn and adapt. For a second-year quarterback, that's all we can ask for. If this surprises you, wait until you hear this. While everyone was questioning Williams, Tyson Bagent just proved why the Bears made the right move, renewing with him for 2 years and $10 million. That performance against the Chiefs was pure magic, folks. But let me tell you the complete story of what happened that Friday night. First, you need to understand the situation. Bagent signed an extension on Wednesday, 2 days before the game. Pressure was at an all-time high. He knew the entire organization was watching, that this could be his last chance to prove his NFL worth. Third quarter scored 27-10 for Kansas City. Williams had exited after a decent but unspectacular performance. Soldier Field was half empty. You know how our fans get when the team is losing big in preseason. Dead atmosphere, negative energy. Then Tyson Bagent steps in. First pass, incomplete, almost picked off by Nick Bolton. Second pass, sacked by Chris Jones. I was thinking, here we go again. Another backup quarterback who can't do anything when the game is out of reach. But something changed in Bagent's face. Did you see the cameras focusing on him on the sideline? That determination, that focus? I saw a quarterback who knew he had 15 minutes to save his NFL career. Bagent's third, offensive series. 1st and 10 on our 25-yard line. Score still 27-10. Chiefs started putting in their backups. A huge mistake. Bagent saw the opening and attacked. First pass. 12-yard strike to DJ Moore on a perfect crossing route. Second, 8-yard scramble when protection. Broke down, but instead of running out of bounds, he stayed inbounds to keep the clock running. Veteran game intelligence. The third pass was the moment I knew. This guy is different. Chiefs sent a 5-man blitz. Bagent had 2.1 seconds to decide. He executed a 3-receiver progression in less than 2 seconds and found Royce Freeman in the flat for a 2-yard touchdown. 27-16 on the scoreboard, but more importantly, momentum completely shifted. Did you see the Bears' defense reaction when Bagent scored that first touchdown? Khalil Herbert leaping off the bench, Montez Sweat shouting on the sideline. The whole team woke up, and Bagent fed off that energy. Second touchdown, 6-play, 58-yard drive. The decisive pass was a back shoulder fade to Joe Wilson that only veteran quarterbacks can pull off. Perfect timing, absurd anticipation. Wilson wasn't even open when Bagent released the ball, but he knew exactly where the tight end would be. 27-22, game back on. Then came the final drive. 87 yards, 10 plays, 3 minutes, and 47 seconds. Want to know what was most impressive? Bagent converted 3 third downs on that drive. 3rd and 6, 8-yard pass to Keenan Allen. 3rd and 4, 7-yard scramble. 3rd and goal. Game-winning touchdown to Jade Walker. Let's talk numbers because they tell an incredible story. Bagent in the fourth quarter, 15 of 18 passes, 167 yards, 3 touchdowns, 149.5 quarterback rating. For context, a perfect rating is 158.3. He was almost perfect, but the advanced numbers are even more impressive. Under pressure, 4 of 5 passes completed when facing rush. Third downs, 5 of 6 conversions. Red zone, 3 of 3 touchdowns. Those are all pro quarterback numbers, not a reserve. And you know what his average pocket time was? 2.8 seconds. Faster than Williams, faster than most starters in the league. Quick decisions, clean releases, no hesitation. Now that $10 million extension for 2 years makes total sense. Doesn't it? Ryan Poles isn't foolish. He knew what he had on his hands. While teams like Carolina are paying $15 million a year for questionable backup quarterbacks, we have a guy who's proven multiple times he can win NFL games. Remember, Bagent has started and won games in 2023 when Fields was injured. It wasn't luck. It was preparation. This guy studies like a starter, trains like a starter, behaves like a starter. The only difference is he wasn't drafted high. Want to see how Bagent compares with other reserve quarterbacks? Gardner Minshew, out in Las Vegas, $8 million a year. Jacoby Brissett, New England, $7 million a year. Sam Darnold, Minnesota, $10 million a year. All those guys make more or equal to Bagent, but none had a performance like Friday's. Bagent isn't just our backup. He's our premium insurance policy. If Williams gets hurt and quarterbacks get hurt in the NFL, we don't lose the season. We have a guy who can maintain the level, who can win tough games. But there's something about Bagent that goes beyond numbers. He has the IT factor. That presence that makes other players believe. Did you see how the offensive line played better when he came in? How receivers ran tighter routes? That's no coincidence. Are leaders born or made? In Bagent's case, I think he was born with it. Small town guy, worked for everything he has, never had anything handed to him. When he speaks in the huddle, players listen because they know he fought to be there. This performance against the Chiefs wasn't luck. It was the culmination of years of preparation, development, never giving up on the dream. Tyson Bagent just proved Chicago as one of the best quarterback tandems in the league. But that's nothing compared to what's coming. Ben Johnson just dropped 2 bombshells on our roster that could completely change our defense before the 53-man cuts. And I'm telling you, these decisions could define our entire season. First, Austin Booker is out for a few weeks with a knee injury. Folks, do you have any idea what this means for our pass rush? Let me explain the devastating impact of this news. Booker wasn't just another defensive end in our rotation. He was being primed to be our third pass rusher in the base formation. With Montez Sweat and DeMarcus Walker as starters, Booker was set to be our first man off the bench, especially on third downs. Let's review what we lost. In just 2 preseason games, Booker amassed 5 sacks and 9 pressures. To put it in perspective, that's more pressure than some starting defensive ends managing 4 regular season games. Against Miami, he destroyed the Dolphins' backup left tackle. 3 pressures and 6 pass rush snaps. Against Buffalo even. Better, 2 consecutive sacks forced a punt and completely shifted the game momentum. Ben Johnson wasn't exaggerating when he called Booker a threat. In pass rush situations, Booker had a 67% win rate, elite number in the NFL. Now we lose that just as our defensive line was starting to click. With Booker out, Daniel Hardy automatically becomes a necessity on the 53 roster. But here's the problem. Hardy is a completely different player. Where Booker is explosion and speed, Hardy is technique and persistence. Against the Chiefs, Hardy had a decent performance. 1 pressure, 2 tackles. Nothing spectacular but solid. The problem is, solid won't cut it against left tackles like David Bakhtiari, Green Bay, or Christian Darrisaw, Minnesota. Johnson now has to decide, keep Hardy and hope he develops quickly, or go for a veteran in the free agent market. Names like Carl Lawson and Takaris McKinley are still available, but do they know our system? Can they adapt in 2 weeks? Second, and this gets even more complicated, Zal Frazier continues absent due to personal issues. Folks, this situation is driving me crazy with worry. Frazier was our 5th round pick, a cornerback with real potential from West Virginia. The scouting report said he had all the physical tools. 6'1", 200 pounds, 4.45 and 40 yards. Perfect for our coverage system. but he trained practically nothing during the entire training camp. Johnson confirmed no progress in the personal situation, meaning we'll likely have to release him and hope to bring him back to the practice squad. Do you understand what this means for our secondary? With Frazier out, we lose depth in an already vulnerable position. Jalen Johnson is our CB1, Kyler Gordon is solid as CB2, but beyond that, a big question mark. Nick McLeod emerges as an option for the 53 roster, a veteran with experience in New Orleans, familiar with similar systems, but he's 27 and never more than a decent special teamer. Is that who we want to rely on if Gordon or Johnson get hurt? And it doesn't stop there. Johnson briefly mentioned multiple injuries on defense during the preseason. Let's connect the dots. Beyond Booker and the Frazier situation, we've had issues with Tremaine Edmonds, shoulder tweak, Kyler Gordon, minor ankle, and rumors about Gervon Dexter dealing with a knee issue, while for defensive depth chart, solid in April, suddenly full of holes. Johnson and Ryan Poles will have to perform magic to maintain 53 competitive players. Tuesday, 1 p.m. EST, deadline to cut the roster to 53 players. Johnson has less than 72 hours to make decisions that could define our entire season. Let's analyze the options. Option 1, keep Hardy, cut Frazier, hope we don't have injuries. Risky, but preserves cap space. Option 2, go for a veteran pass rusher, place Frazier on injured Daw reserve for personal issue. Keep McLeod, more security, but costly. Option 3, total gamble. Keep Frazier hoping he resolves personal issues. Bet on Hardy as pass rusher. Very risky. Ryan Poles is facing his biggest test as GM. His decisions in the next 72 hours will show whether he really understands how to build a winning roster or is still learning on the job. Poles already showed no fear of tough decisions. Look at how he handled Roquan Smith's exit, built the offensive line, brought in Caleb Williams. But now he needs to prove he can navigate unexpected crises. The pressure is at its peak. Ownership expects playoffs. Fan base expects progress. Johnson needs players who can execute his system. If Poles messes up these decisions, it could compromise the season before it starts. If Booker is out just a few weeks, he might return by week 4 or 5. But what if it's more severe? What if surgery is needed? Suddenly our pass rush depth for the whole season is compromised. Frazier is even more complicated. Personal issues have no defined timeline. Could resolve tomorrow, could last the entire season. How do you plan a roster without knowing if one of your defensive backs will be available? These are the situations that separate winning organizations from mediocre ones. Teams like the Patriots and Steelers have systems to handle such contingencies. The Bears, we're about to find out if Johnson and Poles are up to the challenge. So now I ask you, Bears fans, after this complete analysis, do you think Caleb Williams showed enough evolution in the preseason to give us real hope for the regular season? Did you see what I saw? The flashes of brilliance, but also lingering limitations? Leave in the comments if you feel confident or still worried about our quarterback. And more importantly, what specific preseason moment impressed or concerned you the most? And about Tyson Bagent, after his historical performance against the Chiefs, do you believe he could be the difference between playoffs and another disappointing season if Williams gets injured? Was that sequence of 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter luck? Or does he really have the IT factor that distinguishes mediocre from special quarterbacks? I want to know. Do you sleep soundly knowing Bagent is our backup? Lastly, the bombshells Johnson dropped about Booker and Frazier. If you were Ryan Poles, what decision would you make? Keep Hardy on the main roster and hope for the best. Go after a veteran pass rusher in the free market, even though he doesn't know the system. Or bet on youth and development, knowing it might cost important games. Folks, this Bears community we've built here is a real family. We're the most passionate fans in the NFL, the most loyal, the ones who never give up even when all seems lost. Together, we'll follow every move of this season that could be truly historic for Chicago. In the coming weeks, I'll be here every day bringing in-depth analysis, breaking news, insider information you won't find anywhere else. Because you deserve more than 30-second highlights. You deserve context, analysis, the complete truth about our team. If you want to stay in the loop for everything happening with our Bears, and I mean everything, from coaching staff decisions to trade rumors not yet hitting mainstream media, subscribe to the channel now and hit the notification bell, because I guarantee tomorrow we'll have even more explosive news. The waiver period will be insane. Teams will release players who can help our roster. And I'll be here analyzing every possible move the Bears can make. You cannot miss what's ahead for our city. Subscribe if you think Bagent is the best backup in the league. Like if you believe Williams will surprise in 2025. Share if you want more Bears fans to see this analysis. And I promise no matter what happens this season, if we go 17-0 or 0-17, God forbid, I'll be here with you, delivering the truth without sugarcoating, without false hope, but also celebrating every victory as it deserves. Because that's what being a Bears fan means. Unconditional loyalty, passion that never dies, hope that is reborn every season. We're not just fans. We're a family united by navy blue and orange, by Sundays at Soldier Field, by the belief that one day, very soon, we'll lift the Lombardi Trophy in Chicago. Bear down, Chicago! From our house to yours. Until next time, Bears family. And remember, keep that Bear pride burning bright because our season is only beginning.